Guys, welcome. How you doing? I'm Brooks Conkle with Gulf Coast BizCon. So I'm the owner-operator of the company BizCon. So BizCon is an educational company. It started out as just an event, and it has transformed into an educational company that helps empower and educate entrepreneurs, small business owners, and side hustlers. Now, one of the things it does do is produce events. And so that's kind of one of the changes that's come about that. So feel free to check us out. But so today I'm excited. I've got Coach Goonan, good friend of mine, Justin Goonan. He's going to be having a conversation with me about a course that I actually created. It was 50 ways to make money online. It was just some ideas for people that are looking to create a side hustle or a part-time business or whatever. And there were some of the items on there that he wanted to talk about. So, and I thought it'd be really cool to hop on and just record the conversation. But I'm gonna give you some notes on Coach Goonan, on Justin Goonan here. So currently he's the Director of Rugby at Indiana University. So I've got some notes because I didn't want to miss out on anything. So he served as a strength and conditioning coach for the USA Eagles men's national 15s team. That's a mouthful. During its undefeated 2018 Americas Rugby Championship campaign. I mean, this is crazy stuff here. He was the head men's and women's rugby coach at Spring Hill College in Alabama. So that's where I connected with Justin, was in Mobile, Alabama, when he was here. And I'm glad that we were able to meet and connect and become friends. So he did some other really cool things in South Africa. He's got a master's degree in strength and conditioning from the University of Greenwich in England. In addition to coaching, he's the owner of Universal Sports Strength and Conditioning, where he consults with programs, teams, and individuals such as the USA Touch national teams, along with professional and international athletes. He's a certified nutrition coach with Precision Nutrition, as well as a mental performance mastery coach with Brian Kane Peak Performance. And I only gave you guys a little bit of the stuff, right? But that's who we're going to be having a conversation with today. And I'm pumped. I'm going to bring him on right now. Coach Goonan, welcome. How you doing, man?
There you go. The man, the myth, the legend. Thanks for inviting me, Brooks.
Heck yeah, man. I'm glad you're here. I know I only went through like half of your bio, man, but I thought I would hit some of the highlights. I hope you're okay with that. I mean, you've done some really cool stuff, man, in rugby, strength and conditioning, coaching, and you are let's be honest, you are completely humble about all this stuff, because I usually, I'm friends with both you and your wife, and it's usually your wife that is the one telling me and updating me on some of these cool things that you've done. And I'm glad she does that, because otherwise, I may not know some of these things. It's okay. It's okay, man, that you've done some really cool things. That they're amazing. Hats off to you. Appreciate your hard work. And I know you're out there just not stopping. You're still grinding, doing your thing. So.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. And you mentioned, it's my wife that actually, kind of brought us together, and all the hustle, all the work that she puts into her projects, which again, led her to you and Mobile Rundown. It's definitely inspiring and encouraging, and probably what drives a lot of the initiatives and the projects that I try and chase. So,
heck yeah, man, that's cool. Well, so, and I know we talked a little bit before we got recording, but I think what we want to do is kind of specifically, I guess what we're doing is talking about kind of your personal brands, kind of what we're focusing on a little bit, I think. And then some of these items from that course that you went through, the 50 ways to make money online, which is just ideas, right? It's like 50 ideas that people could look at and maybe take one or take two or whatever and say, oh, I resonate with these. And I think us just to go through them, those 4 items, and just kind of brainstorm on each of them for maybe your specific business, and then just in general, maybe. Does that work for you?
No, that's totally fine. And again, I got to thank you, because when this whole period, of quarantine and isolation kind of kicked off, I want to say it was, through your Facebook, you shared the link to that course, that 50 ways to make money. I think you ran a discount, and I said, well, I would have done this with Brooks regardless, but the fact that it's on discount, then I got nothing else to do. I support him and learn from you, and yeah, it definitely kicked off into where we are now.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, appreciate the support there. And then and here we are having this conversation. So I love it, man. So on that list, obviously we're not going over all 50. I guess somebody could get the course or Google ways to make money. I mean, there's it's but whatever. But what we're going to talk about is those kind of 4 specific ones that I thought were pretty cool, and us to go through those. So, but before we hit the first one, man, let's do this. Tell me, or tell, whoever's going to hear this, like, what is the kind of like, what is your personal brand that you might want to help grow and develop? Like, let's start there so that people have like an understanding of what we're even, kind of chatting about.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, as you mentioned in the beginning, I mean, over 10 years ago, I kind of started an initiative of developing my own strength conditioning or fitness and health brand. And initially it was the long-term idea or dream that it would be a facility and have in-person training and that sort of stuff. And then I learned very quickly that my lifestyle that I was going down at that point wasn't going to allow me to really get that brick and mortar. Or that it was going to take a significant change in my life and in my lifestyle in order to do that, which, at that point I wasn't able or willing to do. And so, I've still held on to that dream of growing that brand and being able to help others, whether it's athletes or general population, business professionals in their health and wellness. And, it's really been, finding the right way, finding the right vehicle to kind of drive my message, my training principles and strategies to help a wider audience.
Got you. And so while you were talking, you made me think of a couple of things. I guess one of the reasons why you couldn't do the brick and mortar thing is because I feel like every time you're literally probably around the world more than you are at home. I don't know, man. I feel like every time we connect, you're like, oh yeah, I'm in South Africa, or I'm on the road with the rugby's, whatever. Is that the reason why I guess having the local brick and mortar probably wouldn't be the right fit for you? I mean, is that the reason?
That's definitely a big factor in it. We were, I say we, I mean, my wife, Elise and I, my wife were kind of, we were reminiscing the other day during this whole period. And we hadn't thought back for a while. We're approaching our 9-year anniversary, and within those 9 years, we moved 13 times.
Whew, gotcha.
So that had a lot to do with it. Not knowing, from one job to the next when it was going to be done. In fact, the 3 years that we were in Mobile and got to hang out with you guys, that's the longest that we've been in one place.
Gotcha.
So that had a lot to do with it. And then of course, the fact that most of my coaching roles were remote. It was national team here, professional team there, and nothing allowed us to kind of stay in one place. So I knew if it was going to be a brick and mortar that, I would have to build the support staff behind me to help run that. And with everything else I had going on, I was never able to kind of get to that point.
Well, man, so to add a variable to that, if you had a brick and mortar right now, currently you'd be closed. You wouldn't be operating, right? I mean, most likely. And if you were allowed to be operating, it would be on a limited basis because I don't know when someone's going to hear this, but it's recording this. It's April 21st, 2020. And so that we're in the middle of COVID-19 quarantine. So kids, people will look back on this time. I'm saying kids because they'll look back and it'll be something that they remember for their whole life or learn about in history class. And so, man, everything. I feel like the way that you live and operate, move in location, like all the things that we're going to talk about, these 4 topics, they're all location independent, which I think you know that, and that's probably part of the reason why you're like, hey, this is a way that I can, maybe add value or grow my brand or whatever. So, okay. Yeah, man. I mean, so that's good. That's a good backdrop to us kind of chatting. I don't know. I feel like maybe we should start out of order. Let's, I'm going to start at the bottom of this list, which is one of the items was to build a Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kind of talk about that one first. Like, I'm just going to say this. Facebook is putting huge emphasis, and you may know this, but people listening may not. Like, yeah, they're putting huge emphasis on groups on Facebook. It's community, it's interaction. Like, tons of businesses that have pages, like business pages or whatever, are not getting near the interaction or whatever that groups are. Groups are interactive. It's just the way that can happen. I mean, they're spending money on commercials. I mean, I don't know. Have you seen a TV, like literally on TV, spending giant broadcast dollars to advertise Facebook groups? I don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen any of that?
No, actually, guilty confession. We cut the cable cord about 5-6 years ago. So
it's a free channel. It's a free channel, man. You just need a digital antenna. Probably turn on one of those local stations that you get free. No, man. No, hats off to you for cutting the cable. The interesting thing on that is that, like, my opinion is it's what I call the merge, man. Everything is like, it's all the same. It's all data. Like, what does cable mean anymore? I mean, now it's just like it's a gateway or a bridge or whatever. Now, if you have access to the internet, pretty much you have all the same content in some form or fashion, or you can get it or whatever. So Facebook groups. But for you, would you benefit from being able to add, people into a group to communicate probably that same message that I'm assuming you're doing, like one-on-one? Like, if you're doing one-on-one coaching, you could create a group. What's crazy about that is a group doesn't have to be like thousands of people. It's not even about how big it is. Your group could be like 10 people to people that are paying you for consulting. And you're like, hey, as a part of this consulting, I allow you into my private Facebook group, right? Like, that's a part of a benefit that you get. And for you, it costs you $0 to set up the Facebook group, and then people maybe that are paying you or whatever, your clients or whoever you want to network with, those are the people that you're letting into that group, right? And they can be completely private. Like, no one can find it. It could be invite only. Like, you have to send them the link to the group. And man, that is free. It's a free way to do that through Facebook. Right now, it's not free. Obviously, we provide all of our content to Facebook, but if you don't care about that, which personally I don't, it's free. And years before, like, rewind back 10 years, there were forums and private membership, like, products and stuff like that. And in my opinion, it's kind of evolved to Facebook. The only thing you can't do directly that I know of in Facebook is, like, charge someone a fee, and then the portal comes into, it would be a personal relationship thing with you, right? Like, you have a client and then you allow them access in. But I mean, is that something that would be useful for you in the way that you operate right now, or what?
Yeah, no, 100%. And, to kind of expand on that, something else that I've heard from some others doing stuff similar to me is that, the great thing about the group, like you said, the groups are much more interactive than the pages, right? And so, let's say if you or I in the group and you post a question about, hey, I don't have XYZ, what kind of exercises can I do? Well, I, as the coach, don't necessarily have to be the answer. Somebody else might jump in and say, hey, here's what I did. And then the group, as you said, it's that community. So all I do as the coach is just provide the environment and the connection. And, I just monitor the conversation. I don't have to contribute to every single thing. Obviously, if somebody posts something that I don't see eye to eye or don't agree with or whatever, I can chime in. But then other members of the group become the information source. It's not all dependent on me. So.
Bingo, man. Yeah, there's an opportunity for that, 100%. And it's almost like if you're the creator of the group, it's kind of like you're the one that would control the tempo, the vibe, the community aspect. Like, you're kind of in control of that, of the culture. The culture is probably the word I'm looking for best. Like, you're responsible for that, to engage that culture that you're looking to cultivate in the group. And then, if it's a group that grows, I guess it depends on what your needs are, right? Is it a very small, intimate group where it's going to be like 20 people in there? Maybe. If it's like some elite people like you, and that's a group you're looking to put together. I mean, maybe you have multiple groups, right? Maybe you have one group that's like coaches and other elite strength trainers that you want to connect with around the country. And I don't know, I'm sure there's probably other already groups like that, but you could create your own as well and like cultivate that group. Or maybe it's, the people that are in your mentoring or one-on-one or whatever, and that's a little bit of a larger group. But yeah, man, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. So it's funny, like as you and I recording this right now, I'm in the midst of creating yet another group. And I have a number of groups for different businesses and stuff, but I'm creating a group right now called Destroy the Box. And it's a group, and what it's going to do is connect like all of my personal contacts that are entrepreneurs, side hustlers, but also through Gulf Coast BizCon. So basically, I'm going to have multiple businesses pointing to this group. And it's going to be up to me to create that culture and vibe and, and make sure that it's growing appropriately. And in the beginning, providing content, right? Cause like, kind of like what you were saying about like, eventually, you'll get help from people. And then maybe some of those people in that group, you can even tap them as like one of the admins of the page, or like one of the people that can, help regulate and moderate the page or whatever. So, man, I would think, in my opinion, that's like low hanging fruit for you. I mean, depending on who's going to be in that group. But I mean, we could literally get off this call today. You could spend 20 minutes, set it up, and just think about, okay, how do I want to run this, and who do I want to be in or whatever. And it's cool because like you could put that in your email signature. I mean, that could like become your. I made a video post like a couple of years ago saying that like for tiny micro businesses, like Facebook could actually like be their website. I think we all need websites, but still, you could almost like, like in an email signature, you could even point people to the group. If you want the group to be big, man, you could even set up sorry, I'm just kind of like, you're making me think of other stuff, but you could even like set up a domain name. You could even buy like your own domain name at GoDaddy, right? And you could just point that domain name to the Facebook group. And so when you're like, hey, yeah, if you want to join our group, just check out goonanswildadventures.com or whatever. And that domain name just forwards straight to the Facebook group. And so people could just hop straight in. So they don't have to remember your group name, go on Facebook and search for it. You can give them a website and it'll go straight to the Facebook group. I mean, that could be worth the $18 a year or whatever it costs, for the domain. I mean, that could be like a really good investment for you, to do that. So, I don't know.
No, that's actually a great point. I mean, that's really, I think this tip by itself, but also just the whole course, these are certain things that I knew probably needed to be investigated or need to be kind of created. But it's linking them all together. Like earlier over the weekend, I just got my images and my logos on social media to link up with YouTube and to get all that branding the same.
Yes.
So no, I mean those are definitely great ideas. And
you got to hire Elise for this, man. Your wife is bombastic at this stuff. She's like, I bet she would be killer at helping you get that done.
Yeah, so, if she wasn't up to her neck in her own project,
I know. She's like, I don't have time to help you, man. I don't have time to help. But no, you're right on about that. Like that stuff, it's easy, but yet it's also very easy for that stuff to be at the bottom of your list too, right? But one of the things we talked about, the benefits, I guess, of this crazy quarantine madness is a lot of those items that were at the bottom of your list, they're right there at the top of your list. Cause it's like, well, okay, I can watch Netflix, go for a sprint, or I can, you have less options that you're working on right now. And so that's kind of some of the beauty. And you and I were talking about before we hit record, like the folks that choose to innovate and do this stuff are going to come out much better in the future than the people that are just kind of like upset, woe is me, there's nothing to do. Like, hey, I get it. I like with that person that's upset right now, I get it. Yeah, they're right. It's a tough situation and it sucks. But like, as I've been saying, man, make that lemonade delicious. That's just, I don't know why it just came out of my mouth. And it just sounds right to say that. I'm like, yeah, you got lemonade, man. Just make it good, make it tasty. So, So that's good. No, that's good that you've done that, man, with the branding and everything, like getting that uniform across your channels or whatever. Like that's huge. Like, yeah, if you hadn't done that, I say this too. This is a random sidestep for anyone listening to this. LinkedIn. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? And I don't know if you use it or not, but
I do.
Cool. I don't know if you have the header image, but like if you don't create the header image that goes above like your picture. Cause I feel like that puts you in like the top 90 percentile of LinkedIn users if you do that. And it's not complicated. You're just designing whatever that size and putting it up there.
Yeah.
Even if it was just like some solid picture, because most people just leave like the default LinkedIn image or whatever. And man, I just think if you change that, it literally takes 45 seconds and makes you shine. So,
well, and on that point, and again, credit to the other half, Canva.com has been an amazing resource for me. Graphic design, artistic stuff. That's not where my forte is. But and again, the whole reason I was able to kind of sync up all my different profiles, is because Canva already has the templates for the right size. Whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they have templates that fit the dimensions of each of those platforms.
Shout out to Canva. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Say like I was talking with a friend of mine recently that's actually a designer, like graphic designer, and I'm like, does it bother you that Canva now people are and we had a conversation about it for a little bit, and we kind of came to the conclusion like, yeah, I mean Canva definitely doesn't like replace designers. It's not necessarily competing, but man, there's so much stuff today like to design that it would be like too much for designers to design it all anyway. So it just lowers the barrier to entry, and it lets people like you and me who are not designers per se, like create cool stuff, and we're helped and we can do it really easily. And then we can go to the designer when we need like, I don't know, a pamphlet or a, logo design or something like that. Right. So, and that's kind of what I do. So yeah, anyone listening, if you haven't checked out Canva, I'm sure you have. If you have not, definitely check it out for sure. I'm with you there, man. So, all right. What about creating an online course? That's another one that you mentioned that was in the course. So creating an online course. I obviously you have knowledge. I'm going to interrupt you, man. I know you have the knowledge, and clearly there's like a valuable course like could come out of that. I mean, but like, what are your thoughts?
Actually, you're again, going through your course and your programs was the right kick in the pants. It was, that's something that I've definitely been kind of contemplating and stirring around for, almost 2 years now. And, fortunately, just through, just putting my ideas on paper in Word and whatnot, I've been sharing it around, getting feedback from peers and other athletes, and really kind of shaping and fine tuning that message. And again, an online course is something that I because of my situation, because I'm all over the show and coaching multiple teams, I want to be able to create a platform that I can share that message and reach a broader audience, but also personally generate some soft income, I guess, if that's the right term. And so I knew that an online course was something I wanted to go into, and like your recommendations of, what was it? I think Kajabi, Udemy, what was the other one? Selfie, I think. I don't know. I can't even read my own handwriting. Teachable.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Selfie. Yeah, Udemy. I'm definitely the most familiar with that platform on a personal level. And there's actually, since creating that course, Teachable, which is a company that I already knew about called Teachable, they've kind of adjusted some of the stuff they're doing. So they're trying to get people. So theirs is a little bit different in the sense. All right, I guess I'll give a 10-second thing. So a company like Udemy has tons of kind of customer base in the world, millions, 3 million, 30 million. And you create a course on there, and then you can kind of put it out into their sphere. They want you to sell the course. You can market it to your people, but then people may just find it on Udemy and do it and purchase it. And you make a percentage of the income. Mm-hmm. You can actually have the course be free if you want to. It could be a free course or a paid course. So Teachable, the difference is that like you're paying them to kind of be like the platform for you to upload your videos. And it's kind of a polished way for you to do that, but you are the one, in essence, driving that traffic to Teachable. They've changed that a little bit, and I think that's kind of why it's kind of, it's catching my attention, because I think they're trying to do some things that put them in the kind of realm of what Udemy does. And there are more companies than that out there. There's more that have grown. So Udemy's probably the biggest. There's one called Skillshare, which is, I probably didn't have on that list, I don't think. It's called, you may want to check it out. But so I would ask this, man. So my first question would be, is the goal of creating this course, would it be to give value to people that are already like in your network? Maybe they pay you for consulting and part of what they get is like this course? Or is your goal to kind of use the course to reach like a broader audience to get more people to know who you are? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that's definitely a great question. It's probably a complicated answer, because I think for me, it'd be a little bit of both. Yeah. Like the folks who, let's say the athletes or the teams I'm already working with, the course would probably be a value add. Like, hey, you get me as a coach, your athletes also get, this course, which is going to give them this information. But at the same time, it could be, you mentioned earlier, like most of my network is in the sport of rugby, but at the same time, a lot of the principles and strategies and everything that I'm coaching are relevant for athletes of most, or if not any sport. And so, it could be something like you mentioned with Udemy. If it is available for a general audience and somebody can just, come across it, that it's something that would be relevant for, a baseball player down in Florida, or, a hockey player up in Canada or something.
Gotcha.
Like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I guess in that sense, and like going forward, maybe there's multiple courses, right? Maybe there's one that's a little bit more general, and then maybe there's one that's more focused to people that are in your network. But like, I would also say that creating a course can be kind of daunting. Like it absolutely can be. In fact, like Mandy and I, so Mandy's my wife for anyone listening. So we actually created a podcast episode kind of recently. So to talk about like breaking down projects into smaller bits, because even me, like I have so many projects I'm working on or whatever, but like it's very easy to get overwhelmed with the size of a project and like what it takes. Right. So you're like, cool, I'm gonna create a course. And then you sit down and like, okay, I'm going to start now. Okay, let me start. And then you realize like you're nowhere near ready to turn on a camera and like talk. You're like, okay, well, how am I going to do that? So I've created a few courses now, man, and like it's what I've done. I'm just going to say this so maybe it helps you, like whatever like platform you go on. But like what I've done is just kind of what you said. I've created notes for some time. Like I will brainstorm for months on a potential course. Like, and every time I think, oh, this would be a good addition to that course. Let me back up. I actually have a brainstorm list just for like course topics. So there may be 20 items on that list until I get, oh, wow, that's the one. Like that's the next one that I want to make. So, okay. Then I've decided the course, which I think you could get there for sure. But like, so I'm brainstorming on the document, kind of like what you were talking about. Then what I do is I start, once I feel like I have most of what I need on that document, then I go back and I'm like, okay, cool. Now let me like structure this document into like an outline form where it makes sense and it's kind of fluid or whatever. Maybe there's like links where I'm linking off to something I'm going to talk about or whatever. The good news with the course is that you're not sitting down and just like talking for an hour straight about some topic. Each one's its own little segment, a couple of minutes, or it could be 5 minutes or whatever, 7 minutes. And so, once you've done that outline, and that takes time, but once you've done that outline, then you're ready to like sit down and go, okay, cool. Let me record each of these segments. And once you have all those segments recorded, you're really close. You're probably about 80% there. You have all those recorded. Then you're gonna, depending on what platform you're using, whether it's Udemy or whatever, you're gonna upload all those, and then you have a course landing page and course information and some notes. So there's still more to do, and then you submit that course. So the first time I did it, I was like, holy smokes, I have instant respect for anyone that has any course whatsoever. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad. I just instantly was like, man, I respect the game. Like this is no joke to put something together. Yeah. So I don't know. Those are just kind of thoughts on like the process, like how I would go about, backing into like creating the course. But I'd also say something like this too, man. I don't know if this is a good thought or not, but while we were chatting, you could even have like on a YouTube channel, you could even have your YouTube channel upload videos, have them be private unlisted, so that like the only people that can find them are people that have the links. And what if people, like, if you build, let's say, an email newsletter, or they join your group or join whatever, you're like, hey, I'll send you access to these videos. And maybe it's just like 5 videos where you're teaching something specific. And it can be on YouTube. So like complete free platform, costs you nothing, right? Like you upload the videos. Yeah. They have the links to all 5 of these videos so people can watch them, but people on the internet can't find them. So basically it's only content that's provided by you. And man, that could be like a really easy way to get started, like right away, and like say, hey, I'm just going to create these 3 videos on how to do X. So.
No, that's actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because this week, to kind of back up to your original point about being overwhelmed, I've on my my whiteboard task list over here for however many weeks I've had, record my course, and it's been crawling up the list. And just like you said, I was actually getting frustrated because I wasn't able to mark it off. I've got all these other tasks that I'm marking off, and it's like the record the program is still there. And so I finally had to start breaking it down to, okay, I scratched that off the list. Now it's, write chapter 1, write chapter 2. It made a huge difference just for my own personal, anxiety. And then, the comment that you made about YouTube, again, I was sitting there stressing out about, well, I got to research these platforms. I got to figure out which one's going to be best, which one's going to be the better return and the least cost and everything else. And then I thought, wait, hold on a second. I don't even know if this course is going to be any good. I don't even know if it's going to be, people are going to buy it. So I did. I started to pivot, and I was thinking of, I trust me, I spent all weekend. I could have been recording this stuff. I spent all weekend testing different sound bites. Hey, where's the sound? Does this microphone work better with this camera angle? And I was even going as far as like sound reverberating off of corners of the wall and stuff. And again, it just came back to, hey, let's make sure people are going to buy this first. And so, I went back to the, let's go private. Let's share it, beta test. Let's share it with a few folks, see if there's any interest. Or I might send in 10 people and they come and go, yeah, this is rubbish. I read this in 5th grade.
So that's huge, man. What you're saying right there is huge. And I was at you, I know, because like I do the same thing. I have a big task item, and it doesn't get crossed off the list. I'm like, why is this still on my list? Why is this still on my list? And then it dawns on me like, well, it's because I can't just record a course is just a little bit too large of a to-do. You can't just like, okay, cool, I'm going to do that now. And even if you say like, okay, the next 3 hours, I'm going to record this course. No, man, there's so much to break down within that giant project that like there's probably 20 to-dos under that record the course, right? And we kind of talked about them a little while ago. So I think, you break that down into everything that has to be done. And really, man, if it may sound crazy, but if you need to go back and listen to what I talked about, but like that is the way that I do it, and it works. Like if you do the brainstorm, then get to the outline, then you're gonna record stuff, then you put it up on the platform, and all that it takes time, right? But you have a great point about like, why am I stressing over all this when I don't even know if there's a market for this course? Like maybe I need to change it. So because you said that, there's another one that I recently found. I don't know if I mentioned Skillshare. I don't think I did in that course, but here with Skillshare would be one that I would check out, because their kind of whole intention is for you to create like mini courses, and they're so easy to upload. Like there's not actually an outline for you to upload. I don't think it's just the videos. And so you can make your course free, or you can actually be like generate like a portion of the kind of the revenue. So people pay like $8 to go on there and they can access whatever course they want. If people are watching your course a lot, you kind of get paid a little bit of money or whatever. But I think that could be a great platform for you to like test out the market. Once it's up there, then you could send that link to people even, right? And say like, hey, would you guys, check this out for me or whatever. So that could be an interesting platform for you. But yeah, you're totally right about like us all getting ahead of ourselves. Look, man, I've created like multiple courses, and I'm like, wait, yeah, the way that I figure out if a course is good or worth anything or whatever. Now my process is I just create the course. But like before, I definitely would have to slow down to speed up, just because it took like it's just like anything, right? Like getting into a rhythm of something. Like once you kind of get into the rhythm and you figure it out, you'd be like, okay, sweet, I can do this and I can do that. But yeah, man, I think if you just make like a mini course on some of your aspects, and just get a feel for it. Like really the whole point is just to get a feel for it. Like, like a lot of folks are hesitant to do stuff unless it's going to be perfect. And I get it. Like I totally get that. Like I really do. Like I don't want to put out something that's completely crappy, myself. But if I were what I'm not scared to do is to put something out that's like decent and then like trying to get better and keep improving. Because me personally, I would never put anything out if I had to wait until I had the perfect answer, the right way to do it. I literally would just have zero content in the world.
Yeah, no, it's totally right. And I actually had one of those moments yesterday doing one of the videos. I'd get one of the segments, I'd get 5, 6, 7 minutes into it, and I'd have a misspeak or stutter or something, hit stop, delete it, start all over again. At the time, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't have a script. I don't have a professional camera, professional writer here helping me out. Like, be human, throw it out there. Again, there's going to be mistakes in the first edition. I can make 2.0 or 3.0, look more polished.
Yeah, man, I agree with that 100%. And on the side of that too, on getting 7 minutes into something and saying, I'm like, man, I'm impressed you were just recording that long. But in post editing, and so I don't know if you have any experience in like post editing, like what you're doing with your videos and post edit. That's probably something that you could easily just that you can easily clip out. They call them jump cuts, where if you watch videos that people are talking and it just kind of keeps moving. And sometimes people use them a lot, and it can be for dramatic effect, but it can also just be to cut out silence like that. It could be to cut out some ums, or I'm trying to get my ideas together, and you can just clip that stuff out. So yeah, it's called jump cuts. I mean, you can check that out. So that's like a post editing thing. And maybe that's a skill that you learn just through a simple video editor where you get more familiar with that too. And then that also helps you. So whereas you do that recording for however amount of time, and then, but you're able to do some of that stuff in post edits. And the thing with post editing is really interesting. I think people think they need some crazy softwares and stuff. Like you literally need to be able to like snip and cut video. Maybe you want to add something in the beginning and the end, like bumpers. Maybe you want to like add music or something, possibly. Like those are like 5 skills or 4 skills that you need in video editing that can get you like 80% of the production value. I'm all about the 80-20 principle, man. Like that's an 80-20 rule if there ever was one. Like the other 20% puts you in the cinemas, like to make movies. And I personally, I don't care. Like for me, so man, so that's, yeah, of course. So that's exciting. I know I'm like, let's see, I know we're kind of pushing late. So let's go to another one. Let's talk about the podcast real quick. I guess that's kind of the last one. No, well, there were 2: print on demand, print-on-demand products is something you're interested in, and podcasts, which I think you could do both fairly easily even. Both of those obviously would be good fits probably for what you're doing, right? Like in consulting, like you could create a clothing brand. And so did you know that like the print on demand, did you know that existed? Like with that Printful company? Printful is one. I think Teespring is one that I brought up.
I knew that options existed. I just didn't know where to go to find them. And so, the Printful and Teespring, I mean, those were kind of the recommendations I needed. Kind of like the online courses, there's probably, numerous others out there, but that's all I needed was kind of one direction to go to start looking at. Because the last thing I want to do is get into retail to where I'm stocking inventory and, now I'm filling shipping orders and everything else in addition to everything else. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So like my opinion, man, is those things, the last two we'll talk about. So the print on demand products and like a podcast, I think they're more for like building your brand and building your authority in the space, right? So if you have branded swag that people could purchase and it costs you $0 to put the designs on the shirts or the products and nobody buys it, it doesn't cost you anything, but it looks pretty dang cool. Like one, you can wear it. And two, like if somebody buys it, great, you make a portion of a sale. But the fact that you would have it available is pretty cool, right? So, I mean, I think that's a cool thing. And then in the world of podcasting, like, you have to have a ton of listens in order to have some advertisers going to pay you, or you have to, to generate like direct revenue from a podcast. I think it takes a lot of energy and effort, but tell me you don't look at someone differently in your space if they have a podcast. I mean, if they have a podcast show on like strength and conditioning, I mean, like I would immediately put that person up on a bit of a pedestal and think that they probably know something I don't know, or they're more professional, or they have some pedigree or whatever. And I think that's what it could do for you at a minimum, which is like worth it, I think.
Yeah.
And then
at least in my circle, there's two types. I've certainly seen two types of podcasts, right? There's the one to where it's like, hey, listen to me, listen to what I do. And then there's kind of this one here where it's, hey, I want to hear what you do. And I'm going to share that with the rest of my circle or my community. And so I guess a lot of it's kind of really around, some of them have kind of a set structure. Like if it's the interview type podcast, they have a certain set of questions that they ask each individual or each guest. So everything kind of has a routine. But then there's others to where it's like, hey, let's just jump on and let's just chat about whatever comes to mind, whatever's hot that day. And I know for me, knowing kind of how I work much better in kind of that set structure. So having that routine would be better. But then now maybe I'm starting to overthink it a little bit to where it's like, well, okay, after about the 10th, 20th, 30th interview, how many of those guests are going to be saying the same thing? And then you start losing listeners and losing, that sort of. So again, it's kind of like the courses. Maybe I'm overthinking it, right? Just throw something out there, try out a few things early on, and then you kind of find your path.
That's really funny you say that, because so my wife asked me the other day, she was like, Brooks, do you think this stuff that you're doing, do you think it all the way through before you do it? Which is a very valid question, right? Because she sees things that I'm doing. I'm always like trying new things and I'm launching new stuff. That is true. But what I told her was 100% I think stuff through before I launch it and do it. Like what she doesn't know about is the 1,000 ideas that never saw the light of day that even got started, right? Yeah. But what I told her was I have a direction that I'm going and I have the end path. What I don't have is the exact route that it's going to take me to get there. Like my goal is to get there and I want to get there. What I'm not going to do is say, well, before I take the first step, I'm going to I have to have every step planned. Like, so for example, if we were to walk from our house to downtown Mobile, which we've done a few times, it takes a couple of hours. And that was the example I gave her. I said, so if we were going to walk downtown, like, would we go all the way down Spring Hill Avenue, or would we cut over to Old Shell? If we got to Broad Street, are we going to stop there, or would we maybe walk on down to Water Street and, you know, say, hey, we feel good. So what I told her was that, like, if I had to plan the exact route and knew every step I was going to take to get downtown before I would say I'll go downtown, I would never, I just wouldn't leave the house, right? I was like, it just wouldn't work for me. And so while I know I want to go downtown, like this is just the way that I operate. I know I want to get there. That's my goal. But I know the first couple of steps, and man, like, I know I'm probably also going to have to pivot and adjust and learn and change, because it's just the way it is. If I try to set the exact route all the way to the end, like, I'm just not going to get there. Like, there's no way that route's going to work. Or if I try to force it to work, that's probably a bad idea to force it to work. And I could be wrong on that, man. You know, like, if you ask 20 people, maybe 20 people would give you differing views on that. But while, like, it's great for you, I think it's good because you're a guy and you want some structure. I think it's great to have that, like, that plan. Like, okay, I need structure and I want to interview people. I don't want to talk alone. Cool. Like, go that route, create the idea. And then I think, you know, then get going. But you know what? Like you said, if 12 episodes in, if you're like, man, we're talking about the same stuff, great. Like, make an adjustment. But now you have 12 episodes that are cataloged and people may find online and discover you, Justin Goonan. You know what I mean? And they wouldn't discover you if you didn't put out the first 12 episodes. That's kind of my 2 pennies on that. But, like, even so, in the world of podcasting too, like, it's kind of like creating a course. Also can be pretty daunting. If you decide that that's something you want to do and you want the route, I mean, like, shoot me a message on that too if you want. Here's what's interesting. So with, like, this program that you and I are recording this right now, will go on the Gulf Coast BizCon podcast, but it's also a video interview, right? Yeah. So this will go on our YouTube channel. This is one of those innovations that I did not have 6 months ago, but existed 6 months ago. COVID-19 caused me to start this, like, what I'm doing in this format. This, I'll send you a link to this, man, if you want to look into this software. It's called StreamYard. It has the ability to just record offline, or it can stream live to, like, YouTube or Facebook. And it can create a show. Like, you saw me put in that intro, and then when we finish up here, I'm going to put in, like, an outro. And then that'll be the video that people get to watch. It'll be the audio that people get to hear. So at the end of it, people can actually download, or I can download the video and the audio file. That audio file is literally all you need for your podcast. I mean, it can be your episode, right? So you mentioned all these interviews and people you want to connect with, and, like, other coaches and stuff. And I think it kind of dawned on you, like, right when we got on the call, like, man, those probably would be perfect conversations to be content, or to be a podcast, because you were saying, like, man, other people need to hear like the conversations I'm having with other coaches or whatever. So, like, yeah, man, I agree. Like, I think those would be really cool, you know, to record those conversations and track them. So,
yeah, no, and I mean, heck, here it is. I'm filling up a whole nother 2 pages of notes in addition to this, but yeah, and that's kind of like yourself, right? Like, some of these ideas are coming, you know, the course and podcast and whatever. I just don't know what platform to even go to first, you know, to try. Yeah. So again, I mean, you know, there you go. Just continuing to drop knowledge bombs on me, Brooks.
Well, so yeah, and I do know that choices can also be overwhelming as well, right? Like, so each of the items that we just talked about, like, all 4 of those items, like, all 4 have infinite possibilities, like, or roads to go down. When we're done, I'll actually shoot you a message later, or I'll create, like, a document for you with just, like, the simple suggestions, whatever, you know, that I could suggest to you. It's like, you know, hey, podcast, you know, this is what I'm using, whatever. You know, and so if that's helpful, I'll do that. And then yeah, so that'll be good. Well, man, So if people want to connect with you, so we're kind of coming up on an hour right now. If people want to find Coach Goonan, if people maybe they're like, man, I want to get stronger, or like I want to find you for my school. Like I'm listening right now, and I'm a coach for a sport at a school. Maybe I'm a baseball coach, right? I don't play rugby, but I'm a baseball coach. Like how can I reach out to you or connect with you, or what's a good way to do that?
Yeah, no. Easiest is probably, oh geez, I haven't practiced this pitch before. So,
hey, this is perfect timing, man. This is good.
There you go. Email, universalsportsstrength@gmail.com. Website, universalsportsstrength.com. Facebook, at Universal Sports Strength or Universal Sports Strength and Conditioning. And then, right now I'm trying to be more active on Instagram. Still on Twitter. Don't know if that's relevant anymore, but at least linking to Twitter and putting some live stuff out on Facebook, and then YouTube at Universal Sports Strength and Conditioning. Posting. We've got some cool segments we're calling 90 Seconds of Knowledge, to where it's just 90 seconds of whether it's workout, nutrition, recovery, those types of things. Cover it in 90 seconds so you don't take a lot of time. And then we're also posting up. We've got team huddles, as we call them, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We go live and on different health, training, recovery, and nutrition tips.
Love it. Okay, good. Yeah, so you got that handle across those boards. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this. I've been talking to people a lot about this lately. So you doing those things in 90 seconds or less kind of makes me think of this. Have you looked at TikTok? Have you looked at TikTok? Because you got to do 60 seconds or less, but you could probably kill it on TikTok if you're interested. Maybe
I don't. The only thing I know about TikTok is the dance moves, and I'm not even going there.
So here's the amazing thing, and this is kind of what I've been talking to people about. I'm like, that's what I thought too. I thought it was just dances. Like that's all I thought it was. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Like somehow TikTok's basically gotten every celebrity on there now. I mean, they were obviously paying celebrities at first, but now I think celebrities are joining just because it's like, they're like, man, well, like my buddy Kevin Hart's on it. Oh, well, my buddy The Rock's on it. Like I want Schwarzenegger's on it. Like all these people are on TikTok. Yeah. And what I've realized, so I've been using it for about a month now, TikTok. And so like what I've realized is that on a very serious note, like there's tons of content on there. There's definitely strength and conditioning people. There's definitely people teaching you how to cook. There's definitely people teaching you how to do business online or make money or teaching you about real estate. And none of those people are dancing to any music or anything like that. Yet they are growing really large followings. So it'd be worth having a look at. And at least if you haven't already just locked up your handle, I would go ahead and do that. Download the app, man, and lock up your handle. Whether you did your name or the business name, the brand name. So, and then just play around on it for 30 minutes and just kind of like see what content's on there and say like, okay, like, I don't know, is any of this, is this useful? Is this, could we do this? Or, could you create that video that you're already doing? Can you do it in 60 seconds? And then instead of 90, and then maybe just upload that same video to TikTok and just say, hey, whatever happens, happens, If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul, because we're already making the content anyway, No,
it's fair. I mean, shaving 30 seconds off it and all that much.
Yeah. And so someone said this, I'm like, man, it's actually interesting. It's kind of like it forces you to figure out how to communicate really concisely and get your message across. So there's two options on TikTok. You have 60 seconds or 15 seconds. So people are actually making 15-second shorts, and that could be a dance or just saying something really quick about something that they learned or whatever. But 60 seconds is fine, man. I think, it's like you have someone's attention for a minute and you have a minute to kind of teach them something or get your point across. I personally think it could be really cool, man, for what you're doing. So I would say check it out.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Well, dude, I've enjoyed our conversation. We missed y'all down in Mobile, Alabama. But I know you're doing great things where you are. I know. And tell your lovely wife that I said hello, that we said hello. And I'm gonna let you go, man, because we've been going for an hour, and then I'm gonna close this thing out.
Sounds good. No, hey, more than anything, thanks again, Brooks. I mean, this is something that I've been a huge fan of yours and really admired you, mostly from afar, especially since we moved out. Huge fan of everything that you're doing, especially with BizCon and all your other projects around Mobile, and more importantly, what you and Mandy are doing to kind of provide something for the community. So keep doing what you're doing, bud.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. All right. Talk to you soon, man.
All right.
All right, guys. So that was Coach Goonan, Justin Goonan. Great dude. They're good people. I really enjoyed that conversation with him on his personal brand, his personal business, and just kind of brainstorming those ideas. We probably overloaded each other with more ideas. So we're gonna simplify that and kind of follow that up. But so Gulf Coast BizCon. So we're an education business. And that's been our own morph from COVID-19. So if you're listening to this off into the future and you're like, well, I thought Gulf Coast BizCon was just, I thought it was an event. It was, and that's where it began. It began as an event. We were set to have our second Gulf Coast BizCon on April 10th, I believe. That has been postponed. And since then, we have launched interviews, launched a podcast, and we are looking at additional events. And so therefore, Gulf Coast BizCon is now a brand that engages and educates entrepreneurs, small business owners, and side hustlers. And so we do that in a multitude of ways, one of those being events. So thank you guys so much for being with us today, and we will see you guys on the next interview. Take care.